Alright, here it is, back on the GT engine swap project. This is video number 3, and as you can see, no engine in here, and there's the engine that was been extracted, and right behind it is the motor that's going in. So bad motor, good motor. Alright, so let me go over a couple things that basically got me to where I'm at this point. As you can see, I left the refrigerant in the system, the AC system. I didn't disconnect it, so I didn't want to disconnect it or recover any of the antifreeze. So what I did is I just removed the 3 bolts that mount here, here, and here, and those mount the AC compressor to the engine block. Remove that, and that just sits right down here in the corner, and it's nice. So you don't have to worry about discharging the system or recovering the refrigerant out of it and then recharging it later. Also did the same thing with the power steering pump. It will have also 4 bolts that will remove it from the engine block, and then the power steering system will stay and remain untouched. Okay, next, the engine mounts. They're held, basically your motor sits on top of these mounts, one on each side, and you'll need to remove the nut on top that will enable you to lift the motor out of the cradle here. And then the coolant lines that go to the back of the motor, they sit right on the firewall. Almost impossible to disconnect them from the firewall. Probably is possible, but I just wasn't going to go that route, so I pulled them from the 2 clamps, and I'll go ahead and show you where those connect. If you're looking at the engine, here's the motor here. If you're looking at the engine from the passenger side, you'll see these 2 metal pipes right at the back, right up against the firewall, and one heater line goes here, and the secondary heater line goes there. Okay, then this is going to be the motor mount, and that's where the nut that I was referring to sits. Also, you'll have to remove the starter cable, and that is a 13mm nut, and that just sits right there. Okay, and then I believe yesterday this is the next day, so yesterday when I was working on this project, I was referring to one of the O2 sensors and it being left on the header here. So this is the front O2 sensor that actually will stay on the motor because the wiring harness is all intertwined here, and basically you don't need to remove it, so it'll stay there. These are the H pipe. These are the nuts that'll have to be removed. There's 1, 2 here, and then of course the other 2 on the other side. So that enables you to pull off the H pipe. And then I'm going to go down here to the transmission mount. The transmission mount, it'll have 1, 2, and then on the other side, of course, the same 2. And those bolts go right into the frame. When you pull those down, the transmission will drop, so be ready for it with a jack or some other type of support. So when you drop that, I mean, that's that's skin ready to pull at that point, but I don't usually drop it until I'm going to be lifting the engine. But anyways, the H pipe, there's going to be hangers right underneath that are integrated into the trans mount, and your H pipe actually has a steel rod welded onto it that slides into this rubber bushing right under here, right underneath the trans mount, which is a pretty cool integrated system. Okay, so as far as that goes, I think I've covered pretty much most of the items. There also will be a clutch line, and it looks just like that. It's got the yellow cap sticking out of it there. And that will actually sit on this nipple here, coming right out of the trans. It's on the driver's side, pretty much directly behind your collector here. So you'll, just to give you an idea of the location, and then basically your line will slide right onto this nipple, and then a small C-clip will fit into the line and this indexed area on the nipple here, and it will not allow it to come off. So what you need to do to remove it is pry out on the C-clip and then just pull out, and that's pretty much quick and easy disconnect there. So when I actually pull the motor out, what I do is, this is basically an attachment point for me here. I go right around the collector and I use this seat belt and I tie it up and I go right to the center of the engine. It's actually very critical that you get the seat belts or whatever chain or whatever you're going to use equal, so that the motor lifts out evenly. And then instead of going from the rear here on the same area, what I did was I fed the seat belt through the header, which is a nice point here that I've used this point before and it worked really well. But those 2 points worked for me, and it ended up pulling the motor out perfect. It sat up just right, and it was being pulled evenly on both sides. It's very crucial to get it pulled evenly on both sides, because these studs tend to jam up inside the mount. So if you happen to have them jammed up, then basically rework your straps or your chains or whatever to get an even lift out of it. Okay, so there's the starter cable. Also, that needs to be removed. It's a 13mm, and it goes directly to the back of the starter. Okay, so I'm going to just touch a little bit on how I actually pull the motor. What I do at first is I go ahead and start lifting with the cherry picker, and as soon as I see movement, basically the motor comes unhinged from the area here. You'll see it start lifting. So once you see it start lifting, what I do is I went ahead and supported the back of the transmission with the jack. Then what I do is I monitor to see how it's going, and I slowly drop the jack to get it to give it more angle to come up, and then as it's coming up, you'll start noticing that you can pull it forward, begin to pull it forward. So pull it forward, lift up, drop the jack, lift up, pull forward, drop the jack. You'll have to obviously figure out how you're going to do it, but I mean that's what works for me. So eventually the jack ends up being let all the way down. The transmission will be hanging pretty much at maybe a 45-degree angle as it comes out of this engine bay, and you have to lift it up pretty high to get it out. So that's how I do it. There's also, I'm looking at the drive shaft from here. Take you up close a little bit. There will be 4 bolts on the drive shaft. You're going to want to mark the drive shaft. Make sure you mark the drive shaft in 2 spots to make sure that it goes back exactly how it was pulled off in the same location. So on the transmission. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Hammer it loose, pry it off, and it should just come right down. Alright, trans mount bolts, drive shaft bolts. There's the drive shaft bolts. Those are 12 pointers. I believe they're 12mm 12 pointers. And then there's also this little brace here that will need to be removed. So basically underneath the car should look something like this. Drive shaft sitting there, the rest of the exhaust there, and that's about it. I'm going to walk you through the inside. Okay, so this is the shift knob / boot. It just comes unclipped from the center area here, like I mentioned. So that sits in there. You basically unclip this, and this pops up. At the point where it pops up, grab the knob and begin to twist it. You'll have to twist this whole unit as one assembly. It comes off as one piece. And then there's your hole in the trans tunnel after the engine and trans have been removed. So there's part 3. At this point, what I'm going to do is I'm going to disassemble the engine and trans here. I'm going to take them apart because this is a good trans. I'm going to be using that. And then what I'll do is I'll bring this motor up, and I'm going to obviously inspect the clutch. I'm going to inspect the clutch area, see if I've got a good clutch in there, what it needs, if it needs anything, because this is a good time to do those things, you know, when you have the engine and trans pulled. So that's, you know, that's very crucial. Oh, real quick, I just remembered, when you are pulling the engine and you've got an issue with this shifter hitting the top of the trans tunnel and you have no more room, don't sit there and gouge up and ding up the trans tunnel, because it looks ugly and it's just not what you should do. Anyways, what I do here in that instance, I took off this 10mm bolt, and what that did is it removed this arm and it let this whole assembly hang free, and it was able to basically hang sideways and wasn't an issue after that. So that's a quick tidbit there. I'm trying to touch on everything that I did, but you know, I probably, you know, most likely left something out. If you know, if you can't figure something out, again, just message me and I'll try to help you out. But if I left something out, you know, like I said, I can't remember everything. So, you know, doing my best here. But anyways, I got to get back to work. I'll see you on the next one. What I'm going to do at this point is clean this whole engine compartment up, make it look pretty, and get ready for the engine to drop in here. Alright guys, take it easy. All Muscle signing out.